Ryan Brucker is our guest until 10 o'clock this morning on Property Source Radio from Realty USA. You're fooling around with your iPhone there. You guys have a great app.
Thank you.
For folks who are looking for homes. So I'll talk about that real quick.
Yeah, it's the Realty USA app. You can download it on your smartphone, and you can search for any property anywhere in the state and also nationally.
Very cool.
Yeah,
wow.
It's a cool one. Yeah,
That's like the new thing.
Yeah.
Property Source Radio needs an app.
Yeah, we got to get an app.
We need to get on that.
Coming soon, of course. Yeah. Coming soon.
We'll tie Property Source into the Realty USA site, and we'll...
Perfect. And then we'll app off of you guys.
Yeah.
All right. I know Pat wants to get on his horse here at some point this morning. He's got.
You brought a horse?
Well, yeah, it's right next to your car out there. So check
well,
the
that's
fenders.
why I got to get it washed. Okay.
But we were talking a little bit about the STAR exemptions.
Yes. What's interesting is there's the basic STAR, and STAR stands for the School Tax Reduction Act. It's it's only on the school tax portion. It's not on the county tax. So it's not on the entire thing. Each town is different, have their own rules and regs, but what you want to do is call your township. If you're in one of the suburbs, if you're in Webster, call the Webster Town Hall. If you're in the city, call city. The city's important to know because the city deadline for applying is February 1. So that's coming up pretty quickly. The suburbs are March 1. So city, February 1, suburbs, March 1. But there's the basic STAR, which everybody gets in New York State as long as you reside in the house. So as long as you live there, you get it if you applied for it. You don't have to apply for it ever again if you did it the first time. If you haven't done it yet, now's the time. I called somebody the other day, one of my clients, and they said, yeah, I should probably do that. They haven't done it in 7 years. They've lived there since I sold them the house 7 years, and it was $750 a year that they could have saved.
And you can't go back and unless you want to refile, I suppose, but that's not worth it.
They're not gonna
Is there an age requirement?
There's 8. Well, for the enhanced STAR, there is. And for the enhanced STAR, there is also a income requirement. So, for instance, I happened to call Webster the other day, and the basic enhanced STAR says you cannot earn more than $79,000. So, if you're $79,000 annual income or less, you would, and you're a certain age, you would qualify for the enhanced STAR. It's basically for seniors to be able to afford their house.
So that's the STAR, the enhanced STAR, and there's
then
the third one.
The third one is the veterans. So if you're a veteran or if you know of somebody in your family that's a veteran that obviously owns the house and resides in it, you can get a veterans exemption. The basic is, I think, 15%, depending on what conflict you were in. If you have battlefield experience, I had a client the other day who had a Vietnam experience, and they put on an additional 10%. So you get a 25% exemption on your, not of your tax bill, but of your assessment. So let's say your house is assessed at $100,000 for tax purposes. The assessment and the appraisals are always confused. The assessment is for tax purposes. Their job is just to tax you. Appraisal is what somebody's opinion is of what your house is worth. But let's focus on the tax assessment. They would reduce that by 25% in this case. So the amount you're taxed on is not a $100,000 house, but a $75,000 house based on their calculation. And in this particular case, the client had a very big tax bill of $25,000 a year and saved him $1,900 per year because of all the different...
I'd like to clarify and add to that a little bit, if I may. My wife and I are both veterans, and I got dorked on the last 2 houses I owned because I did not know when I got out of the military that you could apply the veterans exemption, or the tax break, if you will, with both husband and wife. So only one of us was on the last couple of houses we've owned. Pittsford, when I moved to Pittsford, we called the town, hey, we're going to do our exemption because I'm a veteran. They said, yeah, both you and your wife? I said, yeah. Well, fax us your paperwork. You both can qualify for that exemption. So I actually got $33,000 of my assessed value dropped times 2.
Excellent.
For both my wife and I. So I just wanted to make note of that. So
excellent.
Those of us that don't know that.
Yes, and that's an excellent point. And again, every township is different, so you need to call every township. Some of them want your form called a DD 214.
Yes.
But I think you'll need that with everyone. But ask the question. You did the right thing. By the way, is dorked? Is that a technical radio term that I?
That's a radio term. Yeah.
It's one of the last words you can say without getting bleeped. Pat knows
bleeped.
I know all of them.
I learned 2 new words: radio, dorked, and bleeped. Are they acronyms for anything? Or
well, we can talk about that after 10 o'clock. You were proud. You wanted to talk about some good news that you saw in the local news this week.
The local news earlier in the week. We had an article, I think it was the DNC, said Rochester's called one of the 10 cities poised for greatness in 2012. I'm seeing a lot of that from people coming into my open houses, and people are happy. They're upbeat. The weather helps, of course.
Good.
But I think this is going to be one of the banner years because it's been flat since 2008.
Yep.
There's been a lot of fence sitting, and I think there's an excitement and enthusiasm about rebuilding and people jumping in. So
I love to hear that.
Yeah, well, we who live here love Rochester, New York, and we'll take the good, the bad, and the ugly. But this really has to pay off when you see people who are maybe being transferred here, or people who may be moving here for whatever reason.
It's funny because there's something wrong with everywhere if you want to look for it. I mean, even San Diego that's got perfect weather.
Yeah.
I talked to one of the residents. They said, it gets boring here. We wish we had a little rain just for something different. But I like Rochester. I'm sure you've all been all over the world. But, we got topography here and all the benefits and on and on and on. I just love it.
School systems are good.
Excellent. And the medical industry and the technology, we're just booming.
Well, anytime we can point out good stuff about the Flower City, we love to do it here on Property Source.
I just want to point out there was an article in the DNC Friday, December 16th. Headlines: Rochester flexes its economic muscle. We are 4th in the lowest foreclosure rate in the third quarter, 9th in the economic growth since the low point of the second quarter of 2009, and 18th in job growth since the low point fourth quarter of 2009. So
things are turning around.
Great stuff.
Yeah, no bashing Rochester, New York.
Right.
That's right. We're a great place to live.
And as a matter of fact, Ryan, since you're here, I did some research on my own this week, and like yourself, I looked on the in the news, and I found an article that says 8 ways to tick off your real estate agent.
Oh boy!
And I quickly had a flashback of 15, 20 years ago, and almost got sick to my stomach because I remembered some of those clients that ticked me off. The 8 ways, I wrote some of them down. Some of the biggest ones I wanted to make note of. You're making a killing on me. You're 6%. You're making a killing on me. Do you love that one? Is that your favorite?
Well, I don't get that one a lot.
You don't?
I don't get that one a lot because I try to give people so much value. But
I never did.
I just want to point out that when you mention a percentage, there is no standard percentage. All commissions are negotiable.
Negotiable.
It would be antitrust if we said
that's right.
Yeah,
by law, it's negotiable.
Right, it is.
So the time when I was in there was a standard that was almost accepted as a 6%, and so I'd get the killing. But after you break all of that down, I just wanted to stand behind you and support you because
thank you.
of this article I read. It brought back a lot of flashbacks. By the time you get done with all of that, you're lucky to have enough gas money to get out of the away from the closing table with you.
You've got to do a lot of transactions, and help
a lot of work.
People.
Yep, and a lot of work and a lot of time. So, and then there's another one, a couple more in here that I thought was interesting. A client should not act like a know-it-all when selling his or her home, where they tell you what to do all the time and what the best way to market your home.
Well, a lot of times that's due to insecurity. They want to think that they have control, and it's more of a so you just deal with it.
You want to shoot them too. You don't have to say it. I did for it. How about this? If your house sells fast, don't accuse your agent of undervaluing it just to make a quick buck.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's my favorite. Yeah.
That's when I ask the people, I said, so you want to penalize me for doing my job too well?
Yes. Yeah. You want to shoot them too, right?
See, but that's where they may come back at you and say, well, you underpriced it because you wanted to move it quickly.
Well, the way to know that you underpriced it, you had 40 offers. Then you underprice it. If you had 1 or 2 offers, no.
Okay.
That's a good way, good way to wrap that up.
Just a side note, we do not harbor violence on this show or support those who do.
We're green. We're green.
Hey, you're shooting a lot of my clients. I don't know if I shoot everybody, nobody would be left.
You have to move to San Diego.
Oh, my gosh. No, the Navy's there.
Well, yeah, it's always, were you going to bash the Navy?
No. I said the Navy's there. I'm not going to mess with them. No, they got aircraft carriers and battleships.
Are you from here?
I am actually born in Germany, hence the name Reinhardt.
I was wondering about that.
I was going to say, you have a very Irish name.
We weren't going to make racial slurs, are we?
That's not a name. That's not a Henrietta name.
No, actually, my parents were Yugoslavian farmers that got displaced by the war, and my mom spent 6 years in a slave labor camp in Russia.
Oh.
Mining coal and things like that. And my father, he was married. They were both married to different people. And when they got back, the war displaced them. They tried to find their loved ones. My mom had lost one of her 2 daughters in the camp, and my dad lost his daughter in the camp. My dad tried to find his wife. She thought he was dead. She moved to Berlin, remarried. So he walked there, found his way on foot, and found just to make sure that the story was true. Looked in, miraculously found her apartment. Looked in, saw she was happy, and turned around and walked away.
Oh my God!
And
what a great story!
Wow,
it's amazing. And,
wow.
My mom went back to this city. It's called Karlsruhe. It's in Germany. And she was looking for her family, and that's when my mom and dad met, fell in love, got married. I was born, and of course, in America, the streets are paved with gold, as we know.
Yes.
So my father found his way. You had to have a sponsor, a place to live, and a job before they let you into the country, and we ended up in Spencerport, New York.
Wow.
Wow, you know how to kick a guy in the gut with these stories. This is fascinating.
And the story was, I was 3.5. I had my little man hat and my tie, and we were standing on the front lawn of our landlord, who had 6 children. We were going to live upstairs. They lived downstairs. His 10-year-old son was standing next to him, and I said something in German to my dad, and the 10-year-old turned to his father and says, "Look at that little kid. He's 3.5 and he speaks German."
Wow.
That's cool.
So you came as a little kid to Spencerport and you never left.
Yeah. No, we went to Spencerport, and then my father, within 2 years, scraped together enough for a down payment, found a German-speaking realtor who sold us a house in East Irondequoit, and I grew up in East Irondequoit.
Wow.
That's an amazing story.
It is an amazing story. I feel like I just watched one of those episodes of Ancestry.com.
Yeah, I know it. I know. You know, you beat my stories all to hell. I don't know what to say.
Maybe you'll just be quiet.
Alex, did you ever want to live somewhere else? I mean, did you, a lot of people, and it always amazes me that people